What's up everybody, my name is Vincent. Welcome to Cryptolution, where we talk about everything under the moon in the crypto universe. Today's Friday, August 22nd. Now in today's dog video, it's going to be a very fun video because we have a lot of things that we want to talk about, such as the market is currently rallying, not just within cryptocurrency, but also the stock market as well. And that is due to one thing. Jerome Powell spoke at Jackson Hole and it was very dovish, meaning very bullish for the whole market. Now, is this going to lead to a September 17th Fed rate cut? Well, let's look into the metrics and data with CME Group and also Polymarket to see if the rankings have changed. But also what we want to cover is altcoin season, because we're seeing a lot of indicators that are leaning towards the very early stages of altcoin season. And then we're going to look into dog, who's been buying, which wallets are actually accumulating, and also look into charting and analysis, because what I'm seeing in the charting analysis that potentially we could be breaking out of this descending triangle. So let's look into this bullish data. Let's reveal it all. Smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X, and please be careful with any of the scammers down in the comments below. I'll never reach out via WhatsApp, Telegram, direct messaging, or email. So please be careful and invest safely. Guys and girls, let's get right into it. So before we begin, I just want to remind everybody that even though the past week has been very bearish, I'm sure that there have been a ton of people out there that felt very emotional. Well, this is the same case. Even though everything feels very bullish, I want you to ground yourself and not feel the whole excitement of all this. I want you to see this with an unbiased opinion. Because when markets are down, people feel very angry. When markets are going up, people feel very positive. So regardless, remove those emotions and only focus on data that I'm about to share with you. That makes you a better investor, that makes you a better trader. So right now, DOG is up around 10% over the past 24 hours, back almost close to around a 300 million market cap. When we look at the meme coin market, you can tell that every meme coin's in the green. That's always very positive. That means that right now, people are having a bullish sentiment around cryptocurrencies and risk on assets. Even DOG right now, still at around 169. I don't think that will be there anytime longer. I think with altcoin season coming around, I'll share with you some insight on how DOG is going to surpass many of these semi-based community meme coins that don't really have an active community. Now let's look at the Bitcoin. Bitcoin's up 117,000 US dollars, okay? But what do you want to really pay attention to? Was actually Ethereum. Ethereum's almost close to around 13% in terms of a pump in the past 24 hours. Remember, Ethereum is usually the leading indicator for altcoin season. I'll get into that just a little bit. But before we do, we want to cover this. So basically, Jerome Powell spoke at the Jackson Hole meeting as of today. And everybody, especially the markets from the stock market, NASDAQ, S&P 500, even cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and all the crypto markets were wanting to pay attention to what Jerome Powell was going to say. And he said that the baseline outlook and the shifting balance of risk may warrant adjusting our policy stance. So what does that actually mean? Well, to summarize what he just said, he says shifting balance of risk, which may warrant adjusting policy, which we just talked about, suggests downside risks to employment are rising, labor supply has softened in line with demand, Fed abandoning flexible average inflation targeting framework, can't take stable inflation expectations for granted. All in all, the Fed is preparing for a September rate cut. So let's go to CME Group. Now, yesterday we saw that this percentage was roughly around 70 to 73% in terms of in favor of a rate cut, and now has increased to 85%. As of right now, ladies and gentlemen, just as of right now, we are still a little bit of ways away from September 17th. On the Polymarket tool, you can see that right now it's changed from around, I think it was around 61%, has jumped to around 79%. And that is in favor for a 25 basis point rate cut. That's very positive. Now, S&P 500 reacted to this, because right now what we just saw was that because of what Jay Powell said, S&P and also the NASDAQ ended up pumping. That's very positive. But not only that, the cryptocurrency market saw over $200 billion of inflows back into the market just within 4 hours of that announcement from Jay Powell, which is actually really cool. Now, I want to share with you this chart by Raoul Pal. Now, he's sharing with you the altcoin market, and this is excluding Bitcoin and Ethereum. Why is this important? Is because he's potentially saying an altcoin rally breakout. So right here, this is all the altcoins by market cap, and right here is the resistance level. Once the altcoin market breaks past, or at least the altcoin market cap breaks past this blue line, which is the resistance level, that's the beginning of altcoin season. Now, even the altcoin season index is right now leaning towards altcoin season. As you can see, just not too long ago, this was roughly around 51%, then dropped down to 49. Now, as of today, now it's flipping back to 57. Remember, in order for altcoin season to really be confirmed, we we need to be at the range of 75. And right now we've seen this point where we've gotten up to these levels before, but we ended up dipping back down. So we definitely need to see altcoin season continue to rally, leading in that direction. But here's another thing I want to share with you. Bitcoin dominance. Have you noticed that Bitcoin dominance just fell again? Now, the reason we're pointing that out is because we already saw a death cross over here, but it needs to reach this specific level right here in order to confirm a very early stage of an altcoin season and also the end of Bitcoin dominance. For the past like 3.5 to 4 years, we've been in Bitcoin dominance, meaning altcoins were always bleeding against Bitcoin pairs. And right now, the only time that can really say that there was a death cross in this was right over here back in 2021 of January. These two other death crosses don't count because this was the bear market. So with this death cross right here, with the Bitcoin dominance falling below that, we need to reach around 56% for that early stage altcoin season. Now let's look into the Bitcoin monthly returns. As I mentioned before, it's really strange that August was pretty much in the red, but right now it's not even 1% in the gains in 2025. Remember, a year after a Bitcoin halving in the month of August is usually bullish. As you can see back over here in 2021, back over here in 2017, and back over here in 2013. But regardless of what's going to happen with the month of August, I'm actually feeling very bullish around Q4 altcoin season, which we brought up in a previous video before, which I put a link on the upper right hand side on YouTube. You may not see it on X. But September, if there's that rate cut of 25 basis point, I actually think that typically, September is a red month historically, but maybe this has changed because we're no longer in a 4-year cycle for Bitcoin now that we have institutions buying into cryptocurrency, which we never had in other previous cycles. So September may be actually the very beginning of a green month, and then Q4 continuing the trend of altcoin season. But you will definitely see some major gains between October, November, and possibly December. And people have been saying maybe this is the top within Q4, but that may not be the case. We may see the top maybe in Q1 of 2026, or maybe not. Maybe we'll just lead that bull rally all the way in 2026. Again, things will change over the next 4 months, and we'll keep everybody up to date. Now, I want to share with you something about Lark Davis, okay? And this is why I think we're not going to see possibly a top in Q4 of 2025, and maybe not a top at Q1 of 2026, because like Davis said, none of the 30 bull market peak indicators are flashing right now. And the reason that's important is because usually these would actually flash when we are overbought, meaning that there is going to be a capitulation event that can drag on for maybe years after that. As you saw with the previous 2021 bull cycle, we were in a bear market for 3.5 years to 4 years. Now let's talk about Dog, because Dog to me is that main meme coin this cycle. People just don't realize it yet. Now, as I mentioned before, through the week, we saw that there were major big whale wallets accumulating while retail traders, aka short-term wallets, were selling. And look at this transfer of wealth. Look at this. All the things like wallet number 11 accumulated 67 million tokens. Wallet number 10, 46 million. Also, wallets 1, 2, and 3, which more likely are exchanges, accumulated as well on behalf of their customers, meaning their customers were buying more. Then you have other whale wallets, such as wallet number 32, 40, and 36, accumulating 10 million, 7 million, 3 million. It doesn't just stop there, because we just had the publicly traded company accumulate roughly around 68 million dog tokens yesterday. How much is that in US dollar value, you must be wondering? Well, it's actually 185,000 US dollars, and they bought the dip. They bought the dip at around 260 million market cap, so they are in profit. So that increased their dog treasury from around 242 million to 311 million. If you want to see any of this on-chain data, go ahead and go to CoinStats, and this is their public wallet right here that also shares with you the transactions of how much they're buying. And by the way, as I'm recording, I think they actually bought a little bit more, because right now I'm seeing a 1.7 million purchase, also a 3.7 million purchase as of this morning, and that means they have actually increased their portfolio roughly around 311 to 316 million dog tokens as of this morning. So they actually bought more as I'm actually recording. Even Kraken Desktop is actually doing a live stream featuring just Dog itself, noticing that there is a lot of price action within Dog. I really would not ignore this if you are into following charting data, and also if you're into leverage trading. Pay attention to what Kraken Desktop is doing. But also I want to point out another thing. I just all of a sudden noticed on the monthly, which I have not checked in a while, but the monthly time frame for Dog is showing me a higher low. So what does that actually mean? So in the history of Dog, we've only had 3 bottoms. One over here, one over here and one over here. Every time there's a bottom, there's a higher low that forms. So we had a bottom over here, followed by a higher low, which was the first parabola event. Then we reached an all-time high around 980 million market cap. Then we had a capitulation back to a new bottom. Then we formed more higher lows back to a new all-time high of around 999 million market cap. Then we had a capitulation event, then followed by another bottom, followed by two higher lows. What do you think is going to happen now, given the fact that we have Kraken, the first tier 1 exchange that allows anybody around the world to swap any token with over 400 cryptocurrencies in exchange for dog? Because now you don't have to sell your Bitcoin. You can keep your Bitcoin, trade your altcoins, and stack your dog. This may be the chance where we're going to form not just a new all-time high, but be in the multi-billions of market caps, considering that altcoin season is in Q4 2024, in my personal opinion. Okay, so let's look into the charting analysis. So this is what the charting for dog looks like. As you can see, everything very much is in green. You can see that dog is up 10.5% at the time of this recording, so it is pumping as we speak. And we were trying to predict what was going to happen with Jay Powell announcing if there is going to be a Fed rate cut or not at all. But in fact, he became dovish this morning. So we thought that maybe the dog price would hit around a 200 million market cap, and unfortunately, a lot of us wanted to have those buy orders set in. So unfortunately, we weren't able to have that opportunity. But now dog is actually forming a higher green candle, and it looks like it's trying to follow the same trend that we kind of copy and pasted here with bar patterns. But the most important thing that we want to do is break out of this descending triangle, because that's the reality. We are in a bearish trend, meaning that we have an M pattern and also a descending triangle pattern. But we do have a triple bottom pattern, because you can see that there is a triple bottom pattern right here on the left as the first signal, second signal, and this is also the third one. So that's a triple bottom pattern if you did not know that. But right now, based on what I'm seeing, it looks like we could be heading into a very nice positive rally and a reversal to the upside, just given the fact that we have on September 17th that 25 basis rate cut. So we have to break out of this descending trend line and flip bullish. But until then, we are still intact with this descending triangle. We have to break out of it in order to confirm that we are actually in a bullish reversal. Now, I want to bring up something before we close off this video. Now, I made this article on my X account that said why the 1% of crypto investors achieve life-changing wealth and the 99% don't. Definitely check it out. I really want you to pay attention, because the 1% do not use their emotional indicators. They follow data and analytics. These are the people that buy in at the right times, meaning when people are scared, when people are fearful, when there's blood in the water, blood in the market. But why would DAW continue to go up in this altcoin season? And I just want to share this specific quote from Stanley Druckenmiller. He says that the first 10x move is when nobody owns it, meaning that when DOG starts to pump, that means not really many retail investors that are very emotional when they trade own that specific token. They rather fade it, FUD crypto Twitter, and say, you know what, I hate this coin, rather than actually taking accountability for their actions. And then after that token dog 10x's, then the second 10x is when everybody owns it, meaning people want to buy more of that because they see that the token pumps, and then they want to get a piece of it, and that actually boosts your bag up. So this is why it's really important to buy the fear in the tokens that you actually have strong conviction in. For me, it's dog Bitcoin. Now, to kind of close it off, I just want to remind everybody, okay, this is very bullish in terms of what I've just shared with you. But as I mentioned in the very beginning of the video, I just want you to be very grounded, because remember, bear markets, everybody's very angry. Bull markets, everybody's very happy. But these are emotions. What I need you to do is take those emotions aside and just focus on the data and analytics. Because if you can just remove those emotional indicators and be a professional trader, then you will not be moved when things go up or down, because this is not going to last long, this bull market for dog. Eventually, it's going to dip again at some point. It's going to scare a bunch of people, and then people are going to get very emotional. But instead of being a part of that whole noise, be a part of the actual traders that are pretty much the 1%, and that you can focus on the long-term vision of dog, because altcoin season is going to come in Q4 in my personal perspective, just given all the indicators from altcoin seasons to Bitcoin dominance to the federal rate cuts. I mean, just everything that I'm seeing with the whole altcoin market cap breaking past that resistance level. It's just, for me, something that just signals bull rally, bull rally, bull rally. And we've waited over 3.5 to 4 years for this specific moment. But until then, I hope that you support this channel. If you want more up-to-date content on a daily basis, basis. I will see you guys next Monday, and just letting you guys know, next Friday, I will be gone for 1 week. I may be able to make videos during my break for a week, but I don't exactly know. We'll see how it goes because I'm going to be visiting family from out of town. But I just want to let you guys and girls know, heads up, that next Friday I will be gone out of town. I'll be gone for a week. So let me know what you think down below, what's going on in the markets. I'd love to hear your opinions. To support this channel, please smash up the like button, subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to join us on X to receive all of our alpha calls and trades regarding Dog on the Moon. Till then, see you guys girls next time.